Welcome to the Wednesday LiveStream. Surprise, it's not Erin May. I've been very grateful to her for filling in and providing the valued guidance that she offers for the past several weeks. This is the fourth week since my knee was replaced, and I was ready to go last week, but my little sister had died and her funeral was last Wednesday. So Erin May graciously agreed to fill in on that day too. And what I want to do today is talk about some updates and the power of music over distance. So let me change that and say power of music. So now it says that, and let me open my Facebook thing so I can answer any questions you might have or comments. But I'm pleased to be here. My physical therapy is going well. That's a question people ask a lot. And there's a lot of teeth gritting because that's what it means. Not a lot of pain, because the pain apparently was there for the knee that was not working so well. And now I just have stiffness and thickness, and I've got to stretch. But I'm doing that, and that stuff is going well. I am that has, of course, changed my focus about a lot of things for a good period of time here, and I still have 2 more weeks before I get checked out by the doctor, and some physical therapy after that as well. And it might be 4 to 6 months before I sleep all the way. Anyway, I tell everybody I'm sleeping like a baby, up every 2 hours. And let's hide that scene. So the updates, one of the things I want to share with you is Chrome tab, the backing tracks. We just had a new member join and say, where are the backing tracks? And what showed up on was this. We have an outside web database, which is where all of our backing tracks are sorted. And it turns out that no longer is working for some reason. And what it was a sortable thing. Well, so what I've done is embed a Google form here, which is where all of our backing tracks are clearly there. So when you're logged in as a member on the Dulcimer Crossing site, this is what you can see. It now looks very different and it's very small, but these little arrows here show that you can scroll sideways as scroll up and down, or you can use the little elevator thing here. Let's do Waves on the Ocean. That takes us to this page where you can listen to and you can play it at, you can speed it up over here for the things that are way too fast. You can slow them down to 1/4 of their speed, half their speed, 3/4 of the speed, 80%, 90%. And here's the tablature goes with it. The point of the backing tracks library is for us to have something that we can, let's turn that off, something that we can play along to work on our ear training skills. And let's see why that isn't doing that. But there was a hiccup, and we've got to work around until we can get a more elegant solution. Exactly. Thank you for saying that before, Jim. It really is much more stable. And I get that fluttering of nerves that happens, and that kind of stuff, and some muscles that just refuse to release, no matter how much I coax them. But we're working on it. They're saying, "Whoa, something happened here." So that's all good. Let's see. Backing Tracks Library did that. I want to talk about the Quarantine Dulcimer Festival is coming up in registration. It's going to be the beginning of October, and registration opens this Sunday. And one of the sets of workshops I get to do is from my new 51st Songs book, which actually the workshops are going to be for people who've already purchased the book, because there won't be handouts. Because I did this as a work for hire. I don't own these copyrights. Hal Leonard does. But if you have the book, I can teach it to you. So there will be a two session classes for mountain dulcimer players. We're going to work on the most challenging pieces in the book, and it'll be a 2-session class in the middle of the day on both Friday and Saturday. And then there's also one for adapting these kind of songs that are written and arranged for another instrument, but on the hammered dulcimer. So there are 3 workshops, but 2 of them are double length, that are going to be focused on those skills. And there are several others as well. And I'll be sending an email out about those. There are a bunch of new teachers, some returning teachers, a lot of returning teachers. There's a lot of things being offered. And if you are someone who is brand new to the dulcimer, I hear there are a lot more brand new workshops, or workshops for new players this time, than there have been in the past. And so that's exciting to hear, that we'll have the people who just got a dulcimer this summer. We'll get you equipped and ready to play. Okay, now the other thing that's happening, which is really exciting, you might have, if you've followed us in the past 2 years, 20 and 21, Aaron May Lewis and I have been the tech people who have helped the Southern California Dulcimer Heritage Festival go live online for it's brand new this year that I want to show you about, because it's such a very cool idea. Instead of doing a 1-day festival, they are doing a whole month of music, is what they're calling it. And so they have there's a mix of events. There's things that are in person. There's things that are filmed ahead of time. And the hammer dulcimer instructors will be Patty Amelot, who is here pictured with an accordion and a hammer dulcimer, Brenda Hunter, who is a fiddle and a hammer dulcimer player, Karen Harvey, and Ruth Smith. And those are a mixture of in-person and online things. There's going to be jams in Southern California, 5, and there's going to be concerts featuring Brenda and Patty, and they're 2 hammer dulcimer things, which is really good. I really like what they do together. Patty did a workshop for us in the summer to talk about arranging and how they do that. Steve and Ruth Smith are giving a concert on the 24th of September. There's other workshops for ukulele, guitar and ukulele, and Patty McCollum will do her bodhran and penny whistle. On September 24th, there's going to be 6 different workshops, an hour each. Bill Dempsey and Leo Kretzner, Joel and Lapidus, Kevin Roth and Cynthia Smith, all from Southern California, and then Sarah Kate Morgan from the Hyman School in Kentucky is going to be offering one as well. So the place to find all of this information is, I'm going to put into the chat here today so that you'll have access to that. Some of these things are pre-registration, some of them are not. I think they close registration 2 weeks before whichever event it is. And so I encourage you to check that out. It's a brand new, exciting way that an ongoing festival has found to adapt to the current situation and continue to provide the music. They actually never stopped providing music, and they were doing Zoom jams right when things started with the pandemic. So they have been keeping the music alive in Southern California and sharing it outside of the region, and that's very exciting. Everybody who's connected with that has got a lot to offer, and that's I'm excited that they're doing that. Coming up, we have, we have some great workshops coming up that I want to show you in our live workshops. If you go to the Dulcimer Crossing homepage, you'll find these as they're coming up. We're excited that in September, Pam Bowman is going to be here to talk to, she's from Michigan, and I really enjoyed getting to know her first at the Everett Festival, and she's a very popular quarantine teacher as well. She's going to be teaching Red Wing, and that'll be these are always on Thursdays, and that'll be a hammer dulcimer focused workshop, but Aaron May and I will provide mountain dulcimer translation. Kristen Hewitt from Paris, France is going to be here in October, and we're still debating on the title. He was talking about pirate techniques, and I think that sounds like a great title, but he had a different title, so we're negotiating about that. But it's how to become a dulcimer virtuoso, and he brings a very interesting skill set and approach to the dulcimer, which is very exciting. Like many of us, I'm one of them that did not grow up around dulcimer players. There wasn't a limit of what we thought was possible. We did what we did, and then found out other people did things. And because he's in Paris, and like Germany, when we did that workshop with Carmen, that workshop will take place at noon, and it'll be recorded, and we'll rebroadcast it at our regular 5 o'clock time. And workshop and mentor level students will have access to that in our live events page, and anybody who signs up for it as a separate workshop will also have access to that as well. And then in November, Marilyn Michael, who is just putting the finishing touches on her first hammer dulcimer recording, is going to be here, and we're still waiting to hear what she's going to share with us. She works with Ken Klodner a lot, and this is a photo from the Sandbridge workshops that Ken hosts, and she's been his right arm teaching assistant. So we're very excited that we have that lineup coming. And now the distance thing, the power of music over distance. So my little sister developed early onset dementia many years ago, and it went undiagnosed for some time, and then I think misdiagnosed for a while, until it was finally clear what she was facing, and she was no longer able to live at home. So she ended up in a place that was created by people, Kemper House in Worthington, Ohio, that was created by people who wanted a place for their mother who had Alzheimer's, and they couldn't find the kind of care that they wanted. So they made a place, and she got tremendous care. The people there were so knowledgeable and thoughtful and patient and kind. They loved her, and she enjoyed the staff. I was finally able, nearly 2 years after her diagnosis, to visit at the beginning of June of this year, so that I could see her, and she recognized me, and we could share some pictures and some laughs and stories. With her situation, language was not the thing she had any longer. So it was about remembering things together beyond the limits of language. And I had my surgery at the end of July, and she was already in hospice. She started declining. She was put in the active status of dying and transition on the Saturday after my surgery, and no, 2 Saturdays after, and then she died on the 9th of August. I could not be there. I was stuck here in Idaho, and she was in Ohio. Um, I was very pleased when my brother-in-law said, "Would you like to speak to her on the phone?" But what I'd been doing is playing music from here for her over the distance, playing things that we sang together in a youth singing group that we had at our church called Beloved, playing songs that I'd written. One of them I had given to her for Christmas my freshman year of college. And before I knew there was such thing as notation paper, I took parchment paper and drew lines and did it all with calligraphy and that kind of thing, and gave that to her as a gift. And I sang that to her over the phone. I played that. I played a lot of those other songs, and was just at a festival last weekend with the Redwood Dulcimer Day, where Karen Ashbrook and Aubrey Atwater were both teaching, both of whom have been trained for the Music for Healing and Transitions program. And that is when you can bring your music to the bedside of someone who is in that place in their life journey, when they're transitioning from this side to the other side. And I couldn't be there in person, but with my sister, who's a Reiki master, we talked about how we could, from a distance, be present. And so that's what I did. And I got to tell you, it was very powerful. It was very powerful to do that and play with that kind of an intention. I always feel like when I sing, I'm giving myself a hug. I tell children this all the time. Sing, because you got these big life preservers inside us, these huge columns of air. And when you do that, you're giving yourself a hug from the inside. You can give a hug with your arms from the outside, but you can give yourself a hug from the inside, because singing makes you breathe better. It makes you take more oxygen in. And oftentimes when we're playing music that does not require breath to create the sound, or we're singing, which does require breath to create the sound, we get done and we're energized because there's more oxygen that's been in our bodies than has been there for a while. So that's one thing that happens. We get oxygenated. And when we have that, we're not oxygen starved. A lot of us sit like this a lot, and our lungs are all compressed. We don't remember to take deep breaths. We don't cleanse our lungs. Meditation practices that focus on breathing and being present all are focused on those kind of practices to help us become attuned and more aware and more present. And singing is one of those things that can do it. Now, feeling a little oxygen starved, I had to yawn, because that's what a yawn is for, to fill us up. So, and it's contagious too, because when I yawn, I know that what that does is, is make you want to yawn as well, wherever you are. I was once reading one of Malcolm Gladwell's books about the power of yawning, and he said, now I've written this book in this year, but in whatever year you are reading it, in whatever location you are reading it, I want you to do this experiment. And I did it. I was sitting at the LAX airport waiting for a red-eye flight, reading this book. And as I'm reading it, because he's talking about yawning, I started yawning. He said, now look up and look around. And I looked up and looked around, and people who were not even looking at me began to yawn. It's like he wrote the word yawn in a book and talked about yawns in 1 year. Whatever years later I was reading the book, I read it. It made me yawn. It made all these other people around me yawn. That's the power. And that's a similar power that music can have. Vibrations, they decay over time, but a ripple in the pond, one pebble in the pond sends out ripples. When we're singing, when we're playing, and this is the perfect time to mention this Saturday is annual Play on the Porch Day, Play Music on the Porch Day. So I hope you're making plans to do that, whether you do it with friends or just do it for yourself or by yourself. Grab an instrument and sit on the porch and play. Maybe you only have a stoop. Maybe you have a back porch. Wherever it is, play some music. And who knows, right? Who knows? It will not be lost. It will not be forgotten. So the power of music is very powerful. Um, the one other thing that happened, which is one of these stories of the power of music for me, is after my surgery, which went very well in the recovery room, the nurse had gotten me up, and I was, doing a little marching thing with the walker, and then I sat back down and laid back down, and the physical therapist came and wanted me to get up and do a little training with walking with the walker. And as we were just starting to do that, I felt nauseous and lightheaded and laid back down and had a little dream. Well, that's my experience of it. Connie's experience, the nurses and the physical therapist's experience was I coded, my heart stopped. And so they had a very different experience of that time than I did. It turned out it was not a heart attack. It was a vagal nerve response to the spinal block, is what they're calling it, an anesthesia incident. But that earned me a stay in the hospital. And when I woke up from what felt to me like a very short dream, and the cubicle was filled with 20 people shouting, and the doctor looking at me saying, atropine, that's what woke him up. Then they were telling me what happened. It's like, well, I'm sorry. I know it scared my wife a lot. I'm sorry that happened. But it immediately, and this is the way my mind works, put me in the mind of Buck Owens' song, well, my heart skips a beat when you walk down the street. I get a trembling in my knees just to know you're mine until the end of time makes my heart skip a beat. So that's what I thought of, and that's what I started singing in the recovery room. I'm sure that everybody else, I don't know what they thought. I know it cheered me up, and it put it in context for me right away in a musical way, and I'm a musical person. I responded musically. So I experienced that as a healing thing, even if they experienced me as, well, he's still a little loopy. But I don't mind appearing a little loopy. That's all right. Well, friends, yes, someday. Yeah, it's about timing, right? I told her that. And whether the nurse, I don't know. They might tell that story. We had that patient that was singing in here. But wonderful medical staff, wonderful everything, wonderful spouse who has done an excellent job of caregiving, and I'm pleased that she doesn't have to do nearly as much. And she's looking forward to the time when I can mow the lawn, because that's a task that she is not fond of. So that's coming. I have my cane. You see, I've reserved my one of my music stands for my cane, because after I sit for a while, it gets difficult to stand up and be steady. So I have that, and now I just have to. And I've started thinking about things like, there's these little holes here, and I can see why they made cane flutes, and I've seen them before. They're hollowed canes out of wood, and then there's fingers, and you can play the flute. There's even canes that are called pocket cellos that have some strings, or cane dulcimers I've seen that were the kind of idea that was from the revolutionary times, when a lot of people used a cane as a walking stick. So anyway, a sidebar aside, we are back in the saddle and working with things. And if you didn't catch earlier, the backing tracks library has been adapted for a little bit. It's not pretty, but it's functional. And we're working on a more elegant solution, but it is functional. And so I appreciate y'all. And I hope that you'll be playing some music on the porch Saturday, but not just Saturday, on all the days. All the days are good for music. And I look forward to seeing you down the road.